I knew it was going to be a soul crusher the moment Rachel slid that client brief across my desk like she was dropping off a used tissue. "Just support me on this," she said, in that nasal, condescending tone she reserves for people she thinks won't fight back. I hadn't even opened the damn file, and I could already feel my weekend evaporate. We're talking about a Fortune 100 logistics company hemorrhaging money because their backend tech stack still thinks it's 2007. And somehow I'm the one responsible for saving them from digital extinction, while Rachel sharpens her buzzwords like steak knives. 3 hours later, my laptop had 47 tabs open, my coffee was cold, and I was halfway through mapping out their operational choke points using data so outdated, I'm surprised it didn't mention dial-up. I dug through earnings reports, interview transcripts, leaked supplier reviews, even Reddit threads from disgruntled warehouse staff. You ever try building a transformation pitch based on a CEO who once fired a VP for using too many adjectives in an email? Let's just say I learned to write like I was firing bullets. And hey, while you're here, if you're one of the 97% listening without subscribing, come on, hit that button and drop a like. It takes 2 seconds, and it seriously keeps this whole operation running. Our team reads every like it's a hug from the algorithm gods. Anyway, back to me being the unpaid Sisyphus of this pitch. The deeper I went, the more I realized this wasn't just a normal bid, it was the kind of project that could redefine careers. If we landed this client, our firm would jump 5 rungs overnight, which also meant Rachel was already foaming at the mouth for a headline grab. But while she was out lunching with partners and posting filtered selfies, caption strategy never sleeps, I was the one actually building the damn lifeboat. I built the model from scratch, revenue impact, efficiency gain, tech investment schedule, phase-by-phase ROI timeline. Every slide had a purpose. Every stat a backstory, and created a custom framework, because of course I did, because the cookie-cutter crap from previous decks would have crumbled under the CEO's scrutiny. The man was allergic to fluff. He once made a vendor cry in a meeting because they used the word synergy unironically. I didn't just want the deck to impress, I wanted it to hold up under interrogation. I wanted it to slap back if it got challenged. And for a while, I let myself imagine being there. Presenting, responding, getting a rare nod from someone who doesn't nod for anyone. I rehearsed alone in meeting rooms after hours. I tweaked transitions while my dinner went cold. I pushed formatting past the point of sanity just to make sure every number popped exactly where it needed to. And when I handed in the final version, a beast of a strategy deck with 72 slides, 3 annexes, and 1 shiny-ass roadmap, I thought maybe, this would be the time I didn't get erased. Then Rachel leaned on my desk, sipped from her $9 green juice and said, "Great job, seriously." "I'll take it from here," I blinked. "You mean for the pitch?" She smiled like a lizard in a sunbeam. "Yeah, you're the ghostwriter, I'm the face. That's how this works, remember? Ghostwriter." Like I was some anonymous hack scribbling love notes for a soap opera star. Like I hadn't just pulled 2 all-nighters and nearly burned a hole through our VPN with the sheer volume of research files I downloaded. I opened my mouth to protest, but she was already walking away. "Stay here and prep the next client deck," she tossed over her shoulder. "And maybe run spell check this time." It took everything in me not to flip the desk like a WWE wrestler. But I didn't. I nodded, I sat back down, and I looked at the deck. And I started thinking, if I can't be in the room, maybe I can make sure the room feels me anyway. I was halfway through practicing my intro when Rachel strolled in, all casual cruelty and over-caffeinated smugness. She was still holding the deck I'd finished at 3:17 a.m., the one with bloodshot typos I'd fixed on the subway using 3% phone battery and raw spite. She tossed it onto the table like it was a takeout menu and said, "Hey, quick note, you're not coming to the pitch." I blinked. "What? You're just the ghostwriter, Han. Stay behind and prep the next deck for the Westmont Group. Leave the client-facing part to the adults." She said ghostwriter like it was a compliment, like I should be honored to be the invisible hand behind her mediocre puppet show. My ears rang. I couldn't tell if it was the blood pressure spike or the office's busted AC gasping in protest again. Probably both, and I just stood there, blinking like a moron, holding a pen I suddenly wanted to jab into the drywall, or Rachel's forehead. Let's pause for 1 second here, if you've ever been screwed over like that at work, where your hard-earned brainchild gets snatched and paraded around by someone who thinks pivot is a personality trait. Do me a solid. Tap that like button and subscribe. Because apparently, 97% of y'all listen to these stories without subscribing, and frankly, that's the corporate equivalent of taking the donuts and skipping the meeting. And look, every click genuinely motivates the team behind these stories to keep digging into this madness. All right, back to it. She walked out humming, probably some bland empowerment anthem that HR plays at mandatory trainings, and I just sat there. Not broken, just glitching, because this wasn't just a pitch. This was the pitch. A Fortune 100 logistics beast, emerging operational sanity after 3 failed SAP integrations and a C-suite musical chairs game that made national news. They needed a lifeline, a roadmap, and I'd built one from scratch. 43 slides of interconnected diagnostics, workflows, and market disruption models layered with enough insight to make a McKinsey team sweat. Rachel hadn't even read half of it. I had expected to be the one presenting. Not just expected, assumed. The way you assume gravity still works when you wake up. The way you assume your name is still your name. But apparently, no, I was the ghost. The convenient backstage gremlin whose name never made it into the calendar invite. My first instinct, rage. My second, cold math. This wasn't personal. It was predictable. Rachel didn't rise to SVP by being brilliant. She rose by hovering near brilliance and harvesting it like an emotional vampire with a LinkedIn premium account. I wanted to scream, but that's not how you survive in corporate America. You don't yell, you document, you pivot. You find the seam in the lie and you start sewing your name into it, one invisible stitch at a time. Because Rachel just made the biggest mistake of her career. She told a ghost she didn't exist. By lunchtime, my coffee tasted like betrayal and printer toner. The same 10 thoughts were on a carousel in my skull, all wearing steel-toed boots. Confront her? Go to HR? What would that even look like? Hi, I'm being professionally exercised by a woman who thinks Canva is a strategy tool. I hovered outside Rachel's office more than once that day, fingers twitching. Every time I worked up the nerve to knock, I'd hear her giggling on the phone, probably name-dropping my deck to the SVP like she hand-stitched it from the bones of Sun Tzu. She even had the audacity to say my framework during one call. Like she'd birthed the competitive moat analysis from her botoxed forehead. Then there was him, Colin, our SVP. I considered going straight to him. He's the kind of man who always looks like he's 5 seconds away from checking his golf scores and forgetting your name. Sharp, yes, but he sees org charts, not people. And Rachel? She had dinner with his wife last month. There are levels to this game, and I wasn't even on the right floor. By 2 p.m., I was pacing. Coworkers started avoiding eye contact like they could smell the insubordination fermenting inside me. One brave soul, Nina from Insights, slid a la croix across my desk with a whisper, "Pick your battles." She's slippery. I knew what she meant. Rachel didn't attack you head-on. She reshuffled your project list into oblivion. She looped you out of emails like it was clerical error. You'd vanish from a team like you'd been ghosted by God. So I smiled. I nodded. I even said thanks like a normal, well-adjusted doormat. But inside, I was planning. If I couldn't be in that room, I'd make damn sure the room noticed the air shift when I wasn't there. Rachel thought I'd stay in the background like a loyal intern on Adderall. She didn't realize was that I am the background. The scaffolding, the damn engine, and I had one advantage she didn't. I knew what was in that deck. Not just the words, the bones, the pressure points. The buried insights you can't fake with buzzwords and perfume. Every slide had layers, data that only I understood because I spent the last 5 weekends tangled in supply chain maps and EBITDA migraines. So no, I wasn't going to blow it all up today, but I wasn't going to stay invisible either. Ghosts don't knock, we haunt. And I was about to haunt the hell out of that pitch. I didn't plan to see Lydia that day. Honestly, I was ducking the office. Took my lunch break 3 blocks south, hoping the air outside our building didn't smell like Rachel's perfume and moral rot. I was elbows deep in a sad Caesar wrap when Lydia slid into the seat across from me like a ghost in kitten heels. God, you look like you just saw someone get promoted for breathing. I nearly choked, close enough. Lydia used to run finance before she got smart and lateral transferred into compliance, less politics, more policy. Her lipstick was still perfect, and her laugh still had that sarcastic bite you couldn't fake. We hadn't talked in months. I heard Rachel's presenting the trans log pitch, she said, spearing a cherry tomato like it owed her rent. I just blinked. She's not taking you? She said I'm the ghostwriter. Lydia paused, then smirked like she'd heard that one before. Ah, ghosts, the uncredited backbone of every good story. I tried to laugh, failed. Then she leaned in, voice low, almost bored. Listen, you want credit, that's theater. But you want leverage, that's accounting. And in accounting, we document everything. Ownership isn't declared, it's proven. Think like me, not like her. It hit me like a spreadsheet to the face. Rachel would walk into that pitch with the deck I built, sure, but if something went sideways, she'd have nothing to stand on. No foundation, because she didn't build it. She didn't know the logic trail behind the model. She couldn't explain why slide 14 linked the vendor velocity chart to the Q3 market exits. It just looked good, sounded impressive, to people who don't ask questions. But what if they did? That night, I didn't go home. I booked a focus room, closed the door, and reopened the deck, not to fix it, to weaponize it. I started weaving in questions, not obvious ones. Subtle, razor blade footnotes, mini logic traps, things only I could explain cleanly. For example, a small reference on slide 9 to phase 0 activities that would make sense only if you knew I'd built a temporary sandbox in the simulation tool to run trans logs routing logic, something Rachel didn't even know existed. Then I added a slide, just one. Slide 23, title, if we're asked why, it wasn't on the official flow. But I knew how the CEO operated. He was infamous for drilling one layer deeper than anyone expected. So if he asked, say, why did you recommend a decentralized model over a vertical integration approach? Well, guess who wouldn't have an answer? Then I did something even colder. I forwarded the deck to legal. Subject line for archive compliance version. No explanation, just a PDF and the edit history. That created a timestamp, ownership. A breadcrumb Rachel couldn't erase with her usual my team and I nonsense. I wasn't trying to get revenge. That was too small. This was bigger. This was insurance. Because when the room turned cold, and it would, someone was going to ask who built the fire escape. And I'd already signed the blueprint. The morning of the pitch, Rachel strutted through the office like it was her coronation. She wore that crimson power blazer that made her look like a motivational speaker trapped inside a divorce settlement, and she had the deck, my deck, clutched in a glossy leather binder like a war trophy. She didn't even say goodbye, just a finger wave and wish me luck. I smiled, break a leg, preferably both. As the elevator doors closed behind her, the entire floor exhaled. Nobody said anything out loud, just a silent communion of eye rolls and trauma bonding. I turned back to my desk, pulled out my earbuds, and got to work, not on the next pitch Rachel had dumped on me, but on my final move. The email, it wasn't revenge, not exactly. Think of it more like a fire extinguisher with excellent grammar. See, I knew something Rachel didn't. The COO at Translog, the client's second-in-command, and the real engine under that company's hood was a data freak. He'd been quoted in an internal white paper about deep integration between narrative and operational logic, which meant he'd want follow-up, supplemental detail, the kind of dry brilliance Rachel's buzzword casserole could never provide. So I crafted a post-pitch email, crisp, buttoned up, lethal. Subject, supplemental insights Translog architecture proposal from development team, not from me, not from Rachel. From the team, neutral, professional, legally safe, but the content, it had my fingerprints all over it. I broke down key components of the pitch in plain language, then added depth, actual operational models with annotations. Not enough to burn the pitch Rachel was giving, but just enough to show that there was more. And whoever had built it was still at the firm, still available. The email sat in my drafts, time-stamped and perfect. I wouldn't send it, not yet. Because if Rachel stuck the landing, by some miracle of corporate acting and divine LinkedIn intervention, then fine. I'd let it go. Let her win this one. I'd survive. Plan my exit, chalk it up to lesson learned. But if she stumbled, if that room asked even one hard question, if Rachel's performance crumbled under the weight of the work she didn't understand, well, then I'd hit send, and I would not miss. For the rest of that day, I worked in eerie silence. Slack was quiet, no pings, no great job messages, no forwarded praise, which meant either Rachel had crushed it or the deck had started to bleed. I refreshed my inbox like a gambler with a losing hand. Every ping made my stomach jolt. Legal had requested the version history again. That was new. IT pinged me about file access logs. That was very new. And around 3:12 p.m., an intern named Kayla passed my desk, paused, and said in a whisper, "Hey, did you hear?" The client CEO asked Rachel a question in the middle of the deck. Something about slide 14. She didn't know the answer. Then she walked away. I just stared at my monitor. Because slide 14 was one of the landmines, and Rachel had stepped on it, in heels on a stage, so I sat back in my chair, cracked my knuckles, and waited for the echo to reach me. By 3:30 p.m., the silence got so loud it was practically screaming. Rachel hadn't replied to Slack in over 2 hours. Not even a thumbs up to the good luck. Message the interns spammed like it was a birthday card. That woman once responded to a happy Friday with a 3-paragraph brag about her soul cycle stats, so radio silence during the pitch of the quarter? That wasn't nerves, that was fallout. Then legal pinged me. Again. Hi, just need to confirm the final source file of the Translog deck, preferably with metadata. That's not a normal request. That's not routine. That's legal watching a ship start to tilt and double-checking who packed the lifeboats. I forwarded them the file I'd already archived. The one with my machine ID, my creation timestamp, my edit trail. The one Rachel had printed but never touched. I didn't ask why they needed it. That's the trick in corporate survival. Never ask why. Just build your paper trail and shut up until the smoke clears. But the real confirmation came 10 minutes later. Ben, junior analyst, 2 cubes down, still wears his badge on a lanyard like a freshman at orientation. He showed up at my desk looking like someone had handed him nuclear codes and asked him to make a sandwich. I didn't say anything, he started, voice pitched low, but you should probably know. Tyler, the client CEO, asked a question during the pitch, something deep, about the way the vendor logic was weighted across facility tiers. My heart tapped the brakes, slowly. He said, "Can you walk me through the variable cost balance in slide 14, specifically the assumption behind the tier 3 weighting?" Ben's eyes widened, and Rachel, she just stared. Then she said, and I quote, "That's more of a visual placeholder than a hard number." I didn't laugh, I wanted to. But I didn't, because that slide was not a placeholder. It was a modeled simulation, built on 12 market inputs, benchmarked across 3 competitors and color-coded based on heat map thresholds I'd spent a full weekend tweaking. She called it a placeholder. Ben shrugged like he'd seen someone drop a wedding ring into a sewer drain and pretend it was fine. Anyway, after that, the room kind of went quiet. Tyler closed his notebook, and he asked to speak with Colin, the SVP. He hesitated, and added, "You built the deck, didn't you?" I didn't answer. He nodded anyway. "Yeah, figured." And then he did something unexpected. He smiled, not in a smug way, not in a you-go, girl way, in a relieved way, like someone who'd been watching Rachel take credit for a dozen other quiet wins and was finally seeing a crack in the mask. "Whatever happens next, just know some of us see it." then he walked off, back into the fog of corporate life where gratitude is whispered and ambition wears a leash. I sat back, took a breath, let the weight of the moment settle. This wasn't victory, not yet, but something had shifted. And the deck, the very one Rachel hijacked, was no longer hers to steer. It was a loaded weapon, and the trigger had been pulled. The email hit my inbox at 6:07 p.m., just as I was debating whether to go home or sleep under my desk again like a stressed gremlin. Subject, translog follow-up from Colin Thayer, SVP Body. Client wants a second session tomorrow. Make sure you're available. No greeting, no explanation, no emojis, just surgical ambiguity, the kind that either precedes a promotion or a firing. My first reaction was a full-body freeze. Not panic, just that slow, high-voltage pause before the adrenaline kicks in and your brain goes, oh, we're doing this. Then I reread it 3 more times. Client wants me. There was no CC to Rachel. No vague team language, just me. That meant one thing: the deck cracked open during the pitch, and now they wanted the architect, the builder, the actual source code behind all those pretty slides. Word spread through the office like a caffeine-fueled wildfire. By 6:12, Nina from Insight slid by my cube and whispered, so, you're going on the call? By 6:17, someone from Ops sent me a thumbs-up gift that said get her. By 6:30, I passed Rachel in the hallway and she looked through me. Not past me, through, like I was an inconvenient ghost that suddenly became solid. She didn't say a word, didn't ask about the call, didn't smile, which told me everything. That night, I didn't go home. I stayed late, cleared out my calendar, and prepped like I was walking into a deposition with my name on the line. This wasn't just a follow-up call. It was the interview behind the interview. A second look, not because the client needed clarification, but because they smelled a rat, and now they wanted to meet the engineer behind the machine. I printed the deck, my version, with all the footnotes and logic trees. Annotated every slide with potential counter-questions. Rebuilt the model from scratch in case someone wanted to poke at the numbers. By midnight, I had 3 pages of handwritten notes. By 1 a.m., I'd memorized them. By 2, I stopped rehearsing answers and started planning outcomes. If they asked me to explain slide 14 again, I'd do it blindfolded. If they asked who built the framework, I'd answer without flinching. If they asked why Rachel choked, well, that's not my story to tell. My job wasn't to bury her. It was to make damn sure they knew who to trust. By morning, my blouse was pressed, my coffee was black, and my laptop was charged like a defibrillator. I took my seat in the conference room 5 minutes early, alone, and waited for my name to be called like a witness in a trial I didn't start but was born to finish. The call started with a click and a chirp. You know the sound, corporate summons in digital form. Kind of chime that means someone's about to get blessed or burned. Rachel was already on camera, framed in soft lighting with that high-gloss, high-bullshit smile she always wore when she wanted to appear both intelligent and unbothered. She opened her mouth like she'd rehearsed the line in the mirror 20 times. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to continue, and then it happened. Stop, said a voice. Flat, calm, not angry, not rude, just final. The client's CEO, Tyler, buttoned up in a gray-blue shirt, sleeves rolled. No jacket, no small talk. His eyes didn't wander. They locked on the screen like it owed him an answer. Rachel blinked, hesitated. Tyler leaned forward slightly, and then he said the words that made my pulse skip, like my body forgot it needed blood. We don't negotiate with echoes. No one spoke, not even Rachel. She just froze, mouth half open like a loading screen that failed to render. Then Tyler turned his head. Deliberate, smooth, not toward her but toward Colin, our SVP, sitting muted with his usual marble face expression. And Tyler asked, just as evenly, so where is the person who actually built this? My breath caught somewhere between my lungs and the void. The silence wasn't awkward. It was surgical, clean, intentional. The kind of pause you build when you want the blade to land exactly right. Colin unmuted. And for half a second, he didn't say a word. He just looked at Rachel. Not with anger, not with sympathy, with resignation, like a man who just realized he bet on a paper tiger. Then he turned to the camera, voice low but clear. She's here. He tilted his head slightly toward me. I clicked unmute. The camera snapped on. And in that second, call didn't feel like a meeting. It felt like a reveal. I sat straight, calm, no forced smile, no desperate energy, just presence. Rachel's face paled, slightly. She adjusted something off camera, probably her ego collapsing under the weight of exposure. I didn't say anything yet, neither did Tyler. He studied me quietly like he was sizing up a chessboard that had just flipped itself over. And in that breathless moment, the balance shifted. Every detail I'd built, every late night, every embedded logic chain and annotated footnote, all of it was converging here. I hadn't just crossed the threshold. I'd become the room. I didn't rush, didn't clear my throat, didn't lead with hi everyone or some chirpy disclaimer meant to soften the blow. I just leaned slightly forward, hands steady, and said, Slide 14, Tier 3 weighting. It's calibrated using Translog's historical drop density ratios against projected vendor consolidation trends. We layered that against last-mile volatility from Q2 disruptions, which is why the decentralized model becomes cost-neutral by month 8 but yield-positive by month 14. Silence. Good silence. The kind that means no one's interrupting because they're recalculating everything they thought they knew about you. Tyler blinked once. tilted his head. Modeled volatility? Yes, I said. Using the fallback warehouse geofencing logs from your 2022 reroute data, combined with carrier exit timelines. We tagged it as phase 0 impact in the appendix. He exhaled through his nose. The corner of his mouth twitched, not a smile, something rarer, respect. Colin gave the slightest nod. Rachel tried to cut in, tried to salvage something, anything. I just want to add that we also click. Colin muted her. Without looking, without a word. Rachel blinked, confused, then glanced at the corner of her screen like it had betrayed her. No one acknowledged it, not even Tyler, especially not Tyler. He looked back at me, that's who we're hiring. 5 words burned into my skull like scripture. He didn't ask for a team, he didn't say you all, he said me. There was no grand applause, no music swell. Just the sound of a decision being made in real time. And the subtle tectonic shift that happens when power finally slides into the hands that earned it. The call ended 6 minutes later. I logged off, closed my laptop, stared at the black screen like it owed me an apology for everything that came before. By the next morning, my calendar was full. Strategy deep dives with Translog's CIO, a private follow-up with their COO, 3 invites from procurement with subject lines like moving forward. Colin stopped by my desk that afternoon, said nothing, just tapped twice on the surface like a judge confirming a ruling, then walked off. Rachel's desk was empty, no blazer, no binder, just a mug with the words Boss Energy collecting dust under a dead succulent. She never came back, no email, no goodbye, just gone, and I didn't smile. I didn't need to, because ghosts don't haunt forever. Sometimes we inherit the house. Thanks for watching, you cubicle warriors. Hit that subscribe button. Unless you're my old boss, then you're on your own. Revenge of the Coffee Pot strikes again.